Hey guys, we're coming to you today to talk about how to get you out of your job. If you're tired of the same and ready to make a change, go ahead and click subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so that you can get the information you need. Now, this is a multi-step process, and we're going to walk you by piece through the different aspects of what you're going to need to quit your job. And what this really actually goes along with is we created a manual that you can either walk through by yourself, or you can walk through with some help with us, or walk through with the help of these videos. So this file, you can go to our website, 9to5ers.com, click the link in this description, and it'll take you there, and you can download the file right away, and you can follow along. And what this is going to do is just really set you up to what you need to do to start getting out of your job and actually make it a success. Because so many times we try to dive into it and it's just, man, we're spinning our wheels. We don't know what to do. And so some of the frustrations we've had in our journey along the way, things we've learned, things we've seen other people do, we boiled that all down and put it together in this. And this is the result. So we're going to walk you through exactly what that is. So this is the first step that we're starting with today. And that step is the why. Why do you want to quit your job?
Reese and I did a bunch of research a while ago looking up, how can we help society and based off of what our passion is. And we started looking up some facts, and it was pretty daunting. And these are off the top of my head. I can't remember the exact facts, but it was like 65% of people are unhappy with their jobs. So basically, 3 out of 5 are unhappy with where they work, and about 50% are actively irritated. And we're talking about, when we say actively irritated, we're talking about like the disgruntled person at work. Now, maybe you might only have a couple people at work that are actively disgruntled, but a lot of the rest of them are just holding their breaths. And it's kind of crazy that in the land of opportunity, we have all these different options for career choices, but I don't understand, why are we stuck in a job that we don't like? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I remember that when we were looking at this, I was like, okay, well, I got to see where the rest of the world is. And funny thing was, the rest of the world was actually worse than us. So it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are or what have you, but I think Canada was beating us by a slight margin, and everybody else was like, meh, compared to us. And that's a scientific term there that I just used. Anyway, while Reese was kind of talking there a little bit, I was kind of thinking, I was like, how can I conceptualize what it is to want to quit your job or get out of your comfort zone in any part of your life? And it's kind of like you're in your job and you want to make a change. There, you have that desire inside of you, and you want to move out of your comfort zone and make a change, whether that's a new career, start your own business, whatever. Maybe you're on a part-time, maybe just move laterally. And you start to move away from your comfort zone, which is currently your job. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense that, well, if I don't like my job, then why am I comfortable in it? Well, you're comfortable in it because you know what's going to happen every day. You know your job. You know your boss. You know the mess that you're in. And there's no real unknowns with your current job. That's kind of what I'm getting at right there. So people start to push out of their comfort zone and try to find a new job or a new career or start a business. And it's almost kind of like a rubber band. You start to push on it, and the more you push on the rubber band, the more tension that rubber band pushes back on you. And at some point, and this is different for everyone, there is that point where either you're going to break or the rubber band's going to break. And that's where you're truly tested. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they give into the rubber band and they snap back to where they are, and they're disgruntled, they're irritated, and they're frustrated. And that might be the reason why they might be irritated in their job in the first place. Who knows? There's a lot of reasons. But one of the big reasons why people hit that breaking point is because, not because they physically, financially, or any sort of externality is stopping them from that getting past that breaking point and moving into new territory. It's not any of those things. It's that conversation that you have with inside of your own brain that nobody else hears but you. And it's a constant conversation that you're always having with yourself. It's, should I be doing this? This is tough. I thought this was going to go this way, but it's not. This is way more work than I thought it was going to be. I'm mad. I'm frustrated. And that's where people give up. They snap back to where they are comfortable, and they sort of are stuck in their job, and they're kind of like, man, I wish I would have done it, and they're disgruntled. So step one here, and this is a weird step, definitely. It's the most important step out of all the steps, but you have to do it right, but you also don't want to get stuck here. You don't want to be waiting and continually trying to get this step correct. You want to dive into it, and you want to put a lot of effort into it, and you want to feel like you got all the emotion and angst and anxiety and that frustration and that excitement out onto a piece of paper. And then after that, you need to get out there and hit the ground running, because honestly, you haven't done anything yet that is going to show that you're moving out of your job. All you've done is kind of organize your thoughts, and you've kind of focused your energy. And you want to focus your energy on that point, on a single point of that rubber band that you can put all of that frustration and power and happiness and anxiety and this whatever, like drive and determination on that one point, that tiniest point of that rubber band, so you can break through it. And that's when you start to see the magic happen. And it took me, it took me 7 years to get out of my job. And Reese will tell you that I can list on 10 fingers and 10 toes how many different ways that I tried and it didn't work. And I snapped back. And it wasn't, I snapped back because I was mentally giving up. It was just, I was at that point of the why, and it just wasn't the right road to go down. And I had to be like, darn it. And I had to go back and then start all over again. And man, that is extremely frustrating. And I'm sure there are people listening to this right now that can completely relate to that. So,
and even with Joe, even when Joe was at that point where he had gotten all of his ducks in a row, and everything was working fine, the money was coming in, all those sort of things, he still had to have that little extra push. So that's why you got to have the why, because if he didn't have that why already set in stone to pull him along, to get him to be able to that point, work through all the hard times, work through the blisters on his feet and all those good stuff, like he wouldn't have ever gotten to that point where he still needed that push. It's very hard to make that mental shift, to go from, hey, I need to be able to work and make income, we're stuck in that rut and so focused on where we're at that got to get that why, give us that bigger picture, give us that drive, and actually get us over that hump to get out of our job.
Yeah. And I have the document pulled up because it is a 19-page document of how to, like, it's a work process to get through this. Now, we didn't say this was easy. We didn't say this was short. We are saying that it's worth it, because I've tried 7 to 10 different ways to get out of my job, and I finally did it. This is the process that I used. Now, my success rate was not a straight line moving upward, but this is the basic process that I use. And we're going to start here, and I'm going to read this verbatim so I don't mess this up here. So step one, the why. Why do you want to quit your job? It's time to define the motivation. Take a sheet of paper or use the space below and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down all the benefits you would have when you quit your job. More time with your family, friends, hobbies are a few good examples. On the right-hand side, write down all the reasons why your life sucks because you're currently in your job. The late hours, overtime, crappy boss, crappy coworkers, poor work environment, poor pay, poor benefits. I'm sure the right side won't be an issue to fill out if you're listening to this right now. This is a brain dump here, guys. Write down anything that comes to mind. What gets you excited? What are you going to be doing when you're out of your job completely? Write down that. And also on the right-hand side, Write down the current situation that you're in now. Do you have a beef with your spouse because you come home at the end of the day and you're ready to like tear their head off because the dishes weren't done? I mean, stupid stuff like that. Uh, if you are having trouble here, it might be because you work so much that you have no idea how your life would change once you quit your job. I know this from experience because I was working 80 plus hours per week. This is what I did, and this will do this to a person. You get in that tunnel, and that's all you focus on. Do not worry. You know what you are missing out on life, and that might just be enough for right now. These are carrots and sticks that we're creating here. It will come at all hours of the day and night. You may do a brain dump, and you might have 10 things on one side and 10 things on the other, and then a week from now, you might have 40 on one side and 50 on the other. These things will come, and they might not come immediately, so don't stress out about it. So Reese, kind of talk about carrots and sticks a little bit.
So don't take this part lightly. Like, it seems a little foo-foo to just write these things down of why we don't want to and why we do want to, sort of thing. You know, it's not just a pros and cons list. It's what are the things that you're really after? What is it that you're trying to design, that you're trying to get your life out of for? And what are those things that you just, man, I don't want this in my life anymore. Those are very important. Those are emotional triggers that you have in your mind that we got to get out. And that's okay to have those emotional triggers. We're going to use them. That's going to be our fuel to help push this process along. We're not going to skip to, I just got to make more money. That's what got us into this problem in the first place, is not focusing on the right things. We got to focus on the why. Why is it that we're trying to get out of our job? Take this very seriously. Come up with as much as you can. Get it all down. Write it down. What things am I going for? What things am I going away from? That's what you're trying to do. Write it down. So that, like Joe was alluding to, that's going to be our carrots and our sticks. So if you're not familiar with that analogy, normally we're leading the donkey with the carrot hanging from a stick, right? So we got the carrot motivating us, but sometimes we get hit by the stick. That's a pain point kind of thing. It hurts us. So led by a carrot or hit by a stick, that's where the carrots and stick analogy comes from. So we're going to take these now, once you get them written down, and we're going to beef them up. We don't want to just let them be that, here we had an example in the workbook. When I quit my job, I will get in shape. Like that's not a very good carrot for that. Here's what we say for a better one. I quit this dump of a job. I lost 25 pounds I gained since I started here. I look great naked, and I feel confident when I wear a bathing suit. I look good for my spouse, and I can chase my kids when we stay up late at night catching lightning bugs. I have all new clothes, and they look like they are custom tailored for me. People stop and compliment me on how much better I look. I not only look better, but I feel better too. My temper has softened, and I am a nicer father and husband, or wife and mother, or whatever you want it to be for you. But see how much more powerful that was? It was creating an image in your mind of just how much different you looked, how your life looked, how you interacted through your day because of your getting out of your job. You're creating an image, something you can see, something you can visualize and feel that experience, even though it's not real yet. That's what we're trying to create. So Joe, why don't you walk us through the stick?
All right, so this is my supercharged stick. And unfortunately, when I left my old job, I had a great boss when I was leaving. I kind of felt bad that I was leaving him because it's like I finally got a good boss. But man, all those guys behind him that I had fit this to a T. So the lame stick that we have here, and this is your first draft stick right here. So I hate my boss. Well, so what? We all do. Who cares? All our bosses are idiots. Let's supercharge it. Let's get ourselves fired up. And by the time I'm done reading this, I guarantee you that my heartbeat is going to be a little bit higher than it was when I first started reading this. This stupid idiot is so lucky to have me. He would beg me to stay once he knows that I put in my notice. He takes credit for everything that I do and piles his work on mine. I can never get a day off or a vacation because his needs come first. He berates me in front of other employees and badmouths me to his superiors. He's a joke, a freaking joke. He pulled me into his office one time and yelled at me for an hour and a half. Then he told me that I should just be lucky to have a job. Lucky to come here and listen to his stupid face all damn day. Wow, I can't wait to quit this dump of a job. I'm going to bust my ass so hard that I do not have to stay a minute longer than I have to. I'm going to give him my 2 weeks notice on a Friday so that I ruin his whole weekend. Then I'm going to come in Monday and talk about how much fun I had over the weekend. Pole vaulting over Mount Everest should be extremely doable at this point, guys. And this is, take notice of how many I hate my boss. That is what every person that is stuck in their job and is never going to move says. Because they're too lazy to even come up with a good reason why. But that second statement that had like 50 words in it, that's motivating. That gets me frustrated. That gets me fired up. And when I was saying that, I was running through the mentally all those bosses that were morons. And Reese, why don't you go through the takeaways here?
Yeah. So we're trying to form these in a special way. There's some special nuances we want to add in as we're writing these out. So we already really touched on that. Hey, they're a lot more elaborate. They're creating that picture. They're not just simple emotionless phrases. We're also going to add in that they're in the present tense, not in the future tense. We want them to be as if it has happened, essentially. That, hey, I quit my job, not that I will quit my job, because you're creating that reality. You're making that in your mind become what it is that you're really after. Your mind won't really know the difference if you have done it or not. But if you say you will do it, then you're forever going to do it someday, and someday never comes. It's not the 8th day of the week. So put it in present tense. Go into detail.
And Reese, before you go on, down in the comments below, I want to see your guys' variations of the supercharged why. Give me a supercharged carrot or give me a supercharged stick. I don't really care, but bust one of those out there and see how you feel based off of I'm going to quit my job, my boss is a jerk, versus a paragraph, a detailed paragraph. So put those in the comments below right now, and then ask yourself, how do you feel after you wrote that on there? And you can sign in a different name if you don't want your boss seeing it. So, but I won't tell anybody.
And read through the comments and see what other people have come up with too.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're coming up with these emotion words, you want them to connect to you. You want them to be something meaningful to you. Don't just write something down because you heard someone else say it. Don't just write it down because it's what Joe and I have here in the examples. Make it something that means to you. Like if there's something specific that you've had as an interaction with your boss that you hate, like write that in there. Like, hey, this thing really bothered me, kind of thing. Or if it's something very specific that you're going towards, like, yeah, I'm going to be able to take my kids to Dairy Queen and they're going to get their favorite Blizzard every Friday, kind of thing. Maybe it's something like that. So be very specific about something that really means something for you. And then once you get that all kind of together where it's sounding really good, you're going to kind of summarize that up and memorize it. Start repeating it every day. Start reading through it. What is it that I'm after? How am I going to get it?
Reese, and the one there where it said, you're just lucky to have a job right now. That was actually said to me in 2008 during the financial crisis. And I was working retail at one point, and it was one of those situations where, of course, the unemployment rate was really high. And my boss literally said that to not just me, but he said to all of us managers in the room. And I just looked at him like, are you kidding me? Like, I am lucky to have a job where I don't make that much money. I'm underappreciated, and nothing I do is going to be ever good enough for you. That conversation with that boss, well, it wasn't really a conversation. It was more of like a monologue right to me and to all of us. One directional conversation. That stuck with me forever, for years. Even after I left that job and went to another job, that kept me going, kept me propelled me to keep going. And make your why your own story. Put it needs to be 100% you in that why. Because the more you make it for yourself, the more concentrated and focused your energy is going to be, like a laser beam on that part of that rubber band that you are going to need to break through at some point. Because as you're going to see when we go through this, there are going to be some setbacks along the way. You're going to almost get there and then fall off for whatever reason. It's going to be so frustrating. You're just going to want to scream and give up. But this why is going to carry you through the nonsense. The rest of the stuff that we have coming up here is a lot of logical, makes sense, discipline. It is some out of the box thinking, but man, this is the part that you want to get right and then continually sharpen that knife all the time. Like, you want to make this why razor sharp. And if one part of the why is not working for you anymore, throw that out and put something else in there, because it needs to evoke emotion, concentration, focus, and drive.
Yeah. So if you're going through your list of why reasons, your positives and your pain points, then if it's not really connecting with you as you're going through, ask yourself, do I really want this? How bad do I want this? Maybe if you're asking yourself that as you're evaluating it, you'll see like, oh, maybe I don't actually want this. Or, well, yeah, I still kind of want that, but not as bad as I want this other thing. So you'll kind of get an idea of what things are actually more important for you when you actually get them out and look at them and think about them, analyze them. And the more you can be creative with this step of the process, the easier it's going to make the later steps, because those later steps are they're essentially math. Like Joe said, they're a lot more logical. We can figure that out with a phone. So if we can be more creative, the more we can use this now to come up with those crazy ideas that, hey, that's what's going to work. That's what's going to change your situation, get you out of your rut that you're in now and get you into a new life without a job.
Yeah. And Reese, I remember when I was hitting those barriers that kind of seemed to pop up, and I kept asking myself this one question over and over again, and it was, would I rather try and fail, or play it safe and wonder what if down the road, 20, 30 years from now? What if I would have left? And I worked in an area where I worked in a business right before I quit my job that you could see the people that were, if I had 5 years in, I could see Joe 10 years, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. There's people that worked there 50 years. Crazy. I saw myself in all those shoes, and they didn't get better as time went on. So I kept asking myself, man, would I rather try and fail or keep working at this stupid job and just wonder what if? And man, that's what kept me going. Like, man, I'd rather just try and just see what happens versus like just sticking here, because I know what this is.
Okay, guys, so that was step one. Now we have some more steps to go through, so be sure to click subscribe and watch out for the next video so that you can follow along and we'll help you get out of your job.